Chapter 8. It's so gross, Chuck groaned. What is? What? I demanded. I leaped over my curtain to get him. Check it out. A grin spread over Chuck's face as he pulled something out of the carton. I gasped as I saw an ugly purple face with broken teeth and long fat worm poking out of hole in its cheek. You found them! I shrieked. Chuck let out a gleeful laugh. A whole carton of masks, and they are all totally gross. I grabbed the ugly mask from his hand and studied it. Hey, it feels warm. It was so cold down in the basement. Why did the mask feel warm? The worm bobbed out of the ugly face as if it were alive. I dropped the mask, plunged my hand into the carton, and pulled out another one. A disgusting pig face with thick gobs of green stuff dripping from its snout. That one looks like Carly Beth, Chuck joked. These are scarier than the mask Carly Beth had last year. I pulled another one from the box. A furry animal face, sort of like a gorilla, except that it had two long pointed fangs sliding down past its chin. I dropped it and grabbed up another mask, then another. A hideous bald head with one eye hanging down by thread and an arrow through his forehead. I tossed it to Chuck and pulled out another one. This is amazing, I cried happily. These will terrify those kids. How will I ever choose the best one? Chuck let out a disgusted groan and dropped the mask he was holding into the box. They feel like real skin. They are so warm. I didn't pay any attention to him. I was busy digging down to the bottom of the carton. I wanted to check out each mask before I made my choice. I wanted the scariest, grossest mask in the box. I wanted a mask that would give those first graders more nightmares than they had given me. I pulled out a mask of a girl's face with a lizard head poking out of her mouth. No, not scary enough. I pulled out a mask of a snarling wolf, its lips pulled back to show two jagged rows of pointed teeth. Too wimpy. I pulled out an ugly mask of leering old man, his mouth twisted in an evil grin, one long crooked tooth stuck down over his lower lip. The mask had long, stringy yellow hair that drooped down over the old man's craggy forehead. I could see big black spiders climbing in the hair and in the ears. A chunk of forehead was missing, revealing a patch of grey skull underneath. Not bad, I thought. This one even smelled bad. I started to put it back when I heard a creaking sound again. Louder this time. The ceiling above my head, groaned. I gasped. I really sounded like a footstep. Someone walking around up there. But the store had appeared dark and empty. Chuck and I had both stared into the window for a long time. If anyone was hiding there in the darkness, we would have seen them. Another creak made me suck in a mouthful of air. I froze, listening hard. I could hear the steady drip, drip of water across the dark basement. I could hear the trapdoor rattling outside. I could hear my own shallow breathing. The ceiling squeaked. I swallowed hard. It's an old building, I told myself. An old building squeak and creak, especially on a windy night. A scraping footstep made me gasp out loud. Chuck, did you hear that? Gripping the old man's mask, I listened hard. Did you hear that? I whispered. Do you think someone else is in the building? Silence. Another scraping footstep. Chuck? I whispered. Hey, Chuck! My heart pounding. I turned to him. Chuck? He was gone. Chuck was gone. God, this thing is now getting really scary. Chapter 9. Chuck? A stab of fear made my breath catch in my throat. I heard the hard thud of sneakers against concrete and turned to the stairs. In the dim light, I saw Chuck disappear out through the trapdoor. As soon as he reached the alley, he poked his head back in. "Steve, get out!" He called down in a loud whisper. "Hurry, get out of there!" Too late. A ceiling light flashed on. As I blinked against the bright light, I saw a man moving quickly across the basement. He swept along the wall, pulled a long black cord, and the trapdoor slammed shut with a deafening clang. "Oh!" I uttered a weak cry as he turned angrily to me. I was trapped. Chuck got out, but I was trapped in the basement with this guy. And what a weird looking guy. To begin with, he wore a long black cape that swept behind him as he crossed the room to me. Is that a Halloween costume? I wondered. Does he wear black cape all the time? Beneath the billowing cape, he wore a black suit, kind of old-fashioned looking. He had skinny black hair, parted in the middle and slicked down some kind of hair grease, and a pencil-thin black mustache that curled over his upper lip. As he stood over me, his black eyes glowed like two burning coals. Like vampire eyes, I thought. My whole body was shaking. I gripped the sides of the curtain and tried to return his stare. Trapped, I thought, waiting for him to speak. Trapped with a vampire. "What are you doing here?" he said finally. He pushed back his cape and crossed his arm in front of him. The glowing eyes glared down at me sternly. Just looking at masks," I managed to choke out. I was still on my knees on the floor. I knew that my legs were shaking too hard to stand up. "The store is closed," the man said through gritted teeth. "I know," I admitted, lowering my eyes to the floor. The store went out of business. We are closed for good." I am sorry," I murmured. Was he going to let me go? What was he going to do with me? If I started to scream, no one would hear me. Would Chuck try to help for me? Or was he halfway home by now? "I live upstairs," the man explained, glaring at me angrily. "I heard scraping sounds down here. Boxes being moved around. I was going to call the police." "I'm not a burglar," I blurted out. "Please don't call the police." The trapdoor was open and my friend and I came down. His eyes moved quickly around the room. "Your friend?" "He ran away when he heard you coming," I told him. "I just wanted to see if there were any masks, for Halloween. I wasn't going to steal anything. But the store is closed," the man repeated. He glanced at the open curtain in front of me. Those masks are very special. They are not for sale." "Not for sale?" I stammered. "You shouldn't break into stores," the man replied, shaking his head. His slicked down hair gleamed under the low ceiling light. "How old are you?" I drew a blank. My mouth dropped, but no answer came out. I was so terrified, I forgot how old I was. 12, I answered finally. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself. 12, and you are already breaking into stores? The man said softly. I don't break into stores, I protested. I mean, I never did before. I came to buy a mask. Look, I brought money. I jammed my trembling hand into my jeans pocket and pulled out the wad of bills. $25, I said, holding up the money so he could see it. Here, is it enough for one of these masks? He rubbed his chin. I told you, young man, these masks are special. They are not to be sold. Believe me, you don't want one of these. But I do, I cried. They are awesome. They are the best masks I've ever seen. Halloween is only a few days away. I need one. I need one desperately. Please. No, the man shouted sharply. Not for sale. But why not? I wailed. He eyed me thoughtfully. Too real, he replied. The masks are too real. But that's why they are so awesome, I exclaimed. Please, please take my money. Here. I pushed the wad of bills toward him. He didn't reply. Instead, he turned away. His cape swirled behind him. Come with me, young man. Huh? Where? Cold fear ran down my back. I was still holding the money out in front of me. Come upstairs with me. I'm going to call your parents. No! I shrieked. Please, no! If my mom and dad found out I got caught breaking into the basement of a store, they would go total ballistic. They'd ground me for life. I'd miss this Halloween and the next 30 Halloweens to come. The man eyed me coldly. I don't want to call the police, he said softly. I'd rather call your parents. Please, please, I murmured again, climbing to my feet. I suddenly had an idea. I could make a run for it. I glanced quickly at the concrete stairs leading up to the trapdoor. If I took off and really flew, I could get up those stairs before the man could reach me. The trapdoor was shut, but it probably wasn't locked. I could push it open from underneath and just keep running. I glanced again the steps. It was worth a try, I decided. I took a deep breath and held it. Then I silently counted to 3. 1, 2, 3. On 3, I took off. My heart thudded louder than my sneakers on the hard floor, but I made it to the stairs in a second and a half. Hey, stop! I heard the caped man cry out in surprise. I could hear his heavy steps as he plunged after me. Stop, young man! Where are you going? I didn't slow down or glance back. I took the stairs 2 at a time. Yes, I'm getting away, I thought. As I reached the top, I shot out both hands and pushed up the trapdoor with all my might. It didn't budge. Oh my god, trapped with a vampire. I am really scared right now. Chapter 10. Oh! I let out a terrified moan. The caped man had reached the bottom of the steps. I could practically feel his breath on the back of my neck. The door has got to open, I told myself. It's got to. I took a deep breath. Then I heaved my shoulder against the door. I uttered a desperate groan as I pushed. Pushed! The caped man made a grab for me. I felt his hand brush my ankle. I kicked the hand away. Then I shoved my shoulder hard against the trapdoor. And it opened. Yes! A happy cry escaped my throat as I scrambled out into the alley. The cold air rushed against my hot face. I stumbled over something hard, a stone or a brick. I didn't stop to look. I ran through the narrow alley to the sidewalk in front of the store. My eyes swept back and forth. I searched for Chuck. No sign of him. Had the caped man followed me out the trapdoor? Was he chasing after me? I turned back to the alley and saw only darkness. Then I took off, running fast, my feet practically flying over the pavement. I shot across the street. Bright lights washed over me. A car honked, making me jump about a mile. The car roared past. Hey, Steve! Chuck stepped out from behind a tall evergreen shrub. You made it! Yeah, I made it, I replied, gasping for breath. I didn't know what to do, he stammered. I shook my head. So you just stood there? I waited for you, he said. I was kind of scared. Big help. Get going, I urged, glancing back across the street. He may be chasing us. We ran side by side, our breath steaming up into the cold night air. The houses and dark lawns wired past in a grey-black blur. We didn't say another word to each other. 3 blocks later, I slowed down as we reached Chuck's house. I leaned over and tried to shake away the sharp pain in my side. I always get a pain like that when I run more than a few blocks. See you, Chuck cried breathlessly. Sorry you didn't get a mask. Yeah, it's too bad, I murmured glumly. I watched him run along the side of his house until he disappeared around the back. Then I took a deep breath and took off again, jogging now toward my house on the next block. My heart was still racing in my chest, but I wasn't starting to feel calmer. The man in the black cape didn't chase after us. In a few seconds, I could be safe in my home. Halfway up our driveway, I slowed to stop. The pain in my side had faded to a dull ache. I stepped into the yellow light from the front porch. I could hear my dog Sparky bark inside the house. Sparky knew I was home. As I climbed onto the front stoop, a smile crossed my face. A very wide smile. I was pleased with myself. In fact, I was overjoyed. I felt like leaping in the air, or maybe doing a wild, crazy dance, or crowing like a rooster, or tilting back my head and howling at the moon. The evening had been a total success. I didn't tell Chuck I didn't want Chuck to know. But when the caped man clicked on the basement light, in that split second before he saw me and I saw him, I grabbed the mask from the carton and I shoved it under my sweatshirt. I had a mask. It hadn't been easy. In fact, being trapped in the eerie basement with a strange man had been the scariest time of my life. But I had a mask, safely tucked under my sweatshirt. I could feel it against my chest as I ran, and I could feel it right now, warm against my skin as I reached for the front door. I was so happy, so pleased with myself, and then I felt the mask start to move. And I screamed as something sharp bit into my chest. Oh my god, that mask is gonna be a lot of trouble, guys. Chapter 11. I grabbed the front of my sweatshirt. I pressed both hands tight against the bulge of the mask. Whoa, I murmured, holding the mask in place under the sweatshirt. Stop imagining things, Steve, I scolded myself. Calm down. The mask started to slip down your chest. That's all. It wasn't moving. It didn't bite you at all. Get in the house, I ordered myself. Hide the thing in the drawer in your room and pull yourself together. Why was I so nervous? The scary part was over. I had escaped with one of the great masks. Now it was my turn to scare other people. Why was I standing there scaring myself? Still holding the front of my sweatshirt, I pushed open the door and stepped into the house. Down, boy! Get down, Sparky! I cried as a little black terrier greeted me. He leaped high off the floor, bouncing off me, barking and whining as if he hadn't seen me in 20 years. Get down, Sparky! Down! I wanted to sneak into the house, run up to my room, and stash the mask away before my parents heard me return. But Sparky ruined the plan. Steve, is that you? Mom stormed into the living room, a fretful frown on her face. She glared at me angrily, blew her curl of blonde hair from in front of her eyes. Where on earth were you? Your father and I went ahead and ate dinner. Yours is ice cold by now. Sorry, Mom, I said, still holding the front of my sweatshirt to keep the mask in place as I tried to push Sparky away. The lock of hair fell back over her forehead. She blew it again. Well, where were you? I, well, think fast, Steve. You can't tell her that you sneaked out to steal a Halloween mask from the basement of a store. I had to help Chuck with something, I finally answered. Sure, it was a lie, but it wasn't a serious lie. I'm usually a very honest guy. But right then, all I cared about was having the mask. I had it, and I was desperate to get it out from under my sweatshirt and hid it in a safe place in my room. Well, you should have told me where you were going, Mom scolded. Your father went out to do grocery shopping, but he was very angry too. You should have been home from dinner. I lowered my head. Sorry, Mom. Barky gazed up at me. Was he staring at the bulge in my sweatshirt? If the dog could see it, Mom could see it too. I'll take off my coat and come right down, I told her. I didn't give her a chance to reply. I spun around, leaped onto the stairs, and ran up two at a time. I flew down the hall, burst into my room, and slammed the door behind me. I took a few seconds to catch my breath. I listened hard, making sure that Mom hadn't followed me. No, I could hear her banging around in the kitchen, getting my dinner ready. I couldn't wait to check out the mask. Which one did I take? When the light came out in the store, I grabbed the mask without looking. I stuffed it under my sweatshirt before I could see it. Now I eagerly reached under the sweatshirt and pulled out my hard-won prize. Wow, I raised it in both hands and admired it. The old man mask. I took the old mask. I took the mask of the creepy old man. I smoothed out its long strips of yellow-white hair. Holding it by the big pointy ears, I lifted it in front of my face and examined it closely. A single white tooth hung down over the bottom lip. A brown wormhole poked through the center of the tooth. Outside, on the front stoop, the big tooth had scraped my chest. I realized. That's what made me think the mask was biting me. The mask was twisted in an evil sneer. The lips curled like two brown worms. The long nose had gobs of green dripping from each nostril. A square patch of skin was missing just above the forehead. I could see grey skull bone in the hole. The whole face was creased and lined. The flesh was a sickly green. The skin appeared to be peeling off the face. Dark scabs bulged from the sunken cheeks. Black spiders appeared to crawl through the stringy yellow hairs. Spiders poked out of the 2 ears. Yuck, I cried. Was I holding the scariest Halloween mask in the world? No, in the universe. I began to feel a little queasy just holding it. I rubbed the scabby cheek with one finger. The skin felt warm, like real skin. I practiced, laughing like an old man. I tried a dry cackle. Look out, hogs, I told myself. When I come leaping out at you on Halloween night, in this mask, you will jump out of your skins. I raked the ugly long hair back over the head. My fingers pumped over the spiders tangled in the hair. The spiders didn't feel rubbery. They felt like soft and warm skin. I gazed down happily at the disgusting old face. It sneered back at me. The brown worm lips quivered. Should I try it on? I carried it over to the mirror on my closet door. I was dying to see what I'd look like. I'll slip it on for just a second, I decided, long enough to see how ugly and frightening I'd look. Holding in both hands, I raised the mask over my head. Then slowly, carefully, very carefully, I began to pull the mask down, down, down over my face. Chapter 12. Steve! Mom's loud cry from downstairs startled me. Steve, where are you? Get down here for your dinner. Coming, I shouted back. I lowered the mask. I'd try it on later, I decided. I walked quickly to the dresser and pulled open my sock drawer, smoothing the long spidery hair over the ugly face. I set the mask down carefully in the drawer. Then I hid it under several pairs of socks and closed the drawer. I hurried down to the kitchen. Mom had a salad on the table and a plate of warmed up macaroni and cheese. My stomach growled. I suddenly realized that I was starved. I sat down, pushed the salad aside, and started forking up the macaroni as fast as I could. I glanced down to see Sparky staring at me with his big black, soulful eyes. He saw me looking at him and tilted his head. Sparky, I said, you don't like macaroni, remember? He tilted his head the other way as if trying to understand. I slipped him a couple of noodles. He sniffed them and left them on the floor. Behind me, Mom busily cleaned out the refrigerator, making room for the groceries Dad was out buying. I was dying to tell her about the scary mask. I wanted to show it to her, maybe put it on and make her scream. But I knew that she'd asked too many questions about where I bought it and how much it cost and how much of my allowance I used up to pay for it. All questions I couldn't answer. So I bit my tongue and forced myself not to blurt out exciting news that I wouldn't have to be a hobo again this Halloween. That was my costume for the past 5 years. A hobo. Actually, it wasn't much of a costume. I wore one of Dad's baggy old suits and patches on the pants. Mom rubbed charcoal on my face to make me look dirtier, and I carried a knapsack on a fishing pole over my shoulder. Boring. This Halloween will be different, I promised myself. This Halloween will not be boring. I was so happy as I sat gobbling down macaroni and cheese. I couldn't get the creepy mask out of my mind. I am not going to tell anyone about it, I decided. I am going to scare everyone I know. I am not even going to tell Chuck. After all, he ran away and left me down in the dark basement. Look out, Chucky boy, I told myself, grinding so hard the noodles slipped out of my mouth. I'm going to get you too. Chapter 13. I had soccer practice for my first graders after school the next day. It was a sunny, cold October afternoon. The sunlight made the yellow and brown falling leaves glitter like gold. Puffs of white cloud floated like soft cotton across the blue sky. Everything looked beautiful to me because Halloween was only one day away. I was staring up at the clouds when Marnie Rosin drop kicked the soccer ball into my stomach. I grabbed my stomach and doubled over in pain. Doug Benton and two other kids jumped on my back and drove me face down into the mud. I didn't care. In fact, I laughed because I knew that I had only one day to wait. I tried to show them how to pass. As I ran along the sidelines, Andrew Foster stuck out his foot. I tripped and went sailing into the bike rack. A handlebar caught me under the shin as I fell, and I actually saw stars. But I didn't care. I picked myself up with a grin on my face because I knew a secret. I knew an evil secret that the kids didn't know. I knew that trick or treat night was going to be a special treat for me. At 4 o'clock, I called an end to my practice. I was too weak to blow the whistle. My clothes were soaked with mud. I walked with a limp, and I had cuts and bruises in 20 different places. A typical practice with the horrible hogs. But did I care? You know the answer. I gathered them in a circle around me. They were shoving each other and pulling hair and calling each other horrible names. I told you, they are total animals. I raised my hands to quiet them down. Let's have a special Hogs Halloween party tomorrow, I suggested. Yay! They cheered. We'll meet in our costumes after practice, I continued. The whole team and we'll go trick or treating together. I'll take you. Yay! They cheered again. So tell your parents to drop you off, I told them. This is going to be our special party. We'll meet in front of the old carpenter mansion. Silence. This time they didn't cheer. Why do we have to meet there? Andrew asked. Isn't that the old house supposed to be haunted? Marnie asked softly. That place is too creepy, Doug added. I narrowed my eyes at them, challenging them. You guys aren't scared, are you? I demanded. Silence. They exchanged nervous glances. Well, are you all too wimpy to meet me there? I asked. No way, Marnie insisted. No way! We are not scared of a stupid old house. They all began to tell me how brave they were. They all said they would meet me there. I saw a ghost one, Johnny Myers bragged, behind my garbage. I shouted boo, and it floated away. These kids are animals, but they have great imaginations. The other kids all started teasing Johnny. He stuck to his story. He insisted he saw a ghost. So they pushed him on the ground and got his jacket all muddy. Hey, Steve, what are you going to dress on Halloween? Yeah, what's your costume? Andrew demanded. He's going to be a pile of toxic waste, someone joked. No, he's going to be a ballerina, someone declared. They all hooted and cheered. Go ahead and laugh, guys, I thought. Have a good laugh now, because when you see me on Halloween, I'll be the only one laughing. Um, I'm going to be a hobo, I told them. You'll recognize me. I'll be wearing a tattered old suit and my face will be all dirty. I'll be dressed like a bum. You are a bum, one of my loyal team members shouted. More wild laughing and hooting, more shoving of hair and more shoving and hair pulling and wrestling on the ground. Lucky deal, their parents and babysitters showed up to take them home. I watched them go with a big smile on the face, a big, evil smile. Then I grabbed up my backpack and hurried home. I ran all the way. I was eager to take another look at my mask. Chuck stepped out as I jogged past his house. Hey, Steve, what's up? He called. Not much, I called back. Later, man. I kept running. I didn't want to hang out with Chuck. I needed to check out the mask. I needed to remind myself of how awesome it was, how totally terrifying. I burst through the front door, then I ran straight up the stairs to my bedroom, taking the stairs three at a time. I raced down the long hall. I turned into my room and tossed my backpack into the bed. Then I hurried across the room to my dresser and easily jerked open my sock drawer. Huh? I peered inside. With a
Chapter 14.
trembling hand, I
No!
shoved
I began
away
pawing
several
frantically through the
balled up
drawer,
pairs of
tossing
socks.
all the socks
The
onto the
mask
floor.
was
No
gone.
mask. Gone. The balled up socks
Ooh.
bounced all over the room. My heart was bouncing too. Then I remembered that I had moved the mask before school that morning. I was worried that my mom might go do laundry and open my sock drawer and see it there. So I had shoved it back of my closet behind my rolled up sleeping bag. Letting out a long whoosh of air, I dropped to my hands and knees. I quickly collected all the socks and stuffed them back into the drawer. Then I opened the closet door and pulled down the mask from the top shelf. Steve, you've got to calm down, man, I told myself. It's just a Halloween mask after all. You've got to stop scaring yourself like that. Sometimes it helps to scold yourself to give yourself advice. I started to feel a little calmer. I smoothed back the stringy yellow hair and rubbed my hand over the craggy, scab covered skin of the mask. The brown lips sneered at me. I poked my little finger through the disgusting worm hole in the tooth. I squeezed the spider hiding inside the ears. This is so cool, I declared out loud. I couldn't wait a whole day till Halloween. I had to show it to someone. No, I had to scare someone with it. Chuck's face popped instantly into my mind. My old friend Chuck was a perfect victim. I knew that he was home. I had seen him there a few minutes ago. Wow, will he be shocked? I told myself. Chuck thought that I ran out of the store basement empty handed. When I sneak into the house and creep up on him wearing this disgusting mask, he'll faint. I glanced at the clock. I had an hour before dinner time. Mom and Dad weren't even home yet. Yes, I'll do it, I decided. I practiced my old man cackle, the scariest, most evil cackle I could do. Then I grasped the wrinkled neck of the mask in both hands. Stepping in front of the mirror, I raised the mask over my head and tugged it down. It slid easily over my hair. I felt soft and warm as I pulled it over my face, down over my ears, over my cheeks, down, until I felt that the top of the mask settled into my hair. I twisted it until I could see out of the narrow eye hole. Then I lowered my hands to my sides and stepped closer to the mirror to check myself out. So warm. I suddenly felt too warm. The rubber mask pressed tightly against my cheeks and forehead. Warmer. Hey! I cried out as my face began to burn. So hot. So hot. So hard to breathe. Hey! What is happening to me? Oh my god. The mask is seriously going crazy.